Hey everybody, how's it going and welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are going to talk about some things that I've done to improve my motion capture. Now that I have this new channel, I decided to just use my motion capture suit more, use more of Metahuman Animator, and just have more fun with it. I do feel like in general, my motion capture when regards to the whole body, it does look much better than it used to be. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, the first thing that you need to be mindful of is frame rate. I know there's some people that watch this channel that are professional at doing motion capture, so this is going to sound silly, but one of the most important things is you have to try the highest frame rate that your computer can withstand, or at least your motion capture suit can do. For me is 60 frames per second. Metahuman Animator can do all the way up to 60 frames per second as long as your phone doesn't overheat. And my motion capture suit can only do up to 60 frames per second. For the longest time, I used to think that I needed to be doing 30 frames per second because that was a little bit easier on the computer. It was easier on the spec. It would give me like the best sync animation when it comes to everything. And I was super wrong. I know, again, this is something that should be kind of obvious for anyone doing motion capture, but I kept it at 30. I actually reviewed my phone a couple weeks ago and saw that it was a 30 and realized like this is why my motion capture is not looking great, because the more frames you have, the better things are going to look in the long run, especially when it comes to small body movements. So if you're doing something small like with your hands, this is also why I'm thinking of trying the mix of the Rokoko smart gloves with my Perception Neuron and see if I can play guitar that way. Maybe I can get some improvement because, like I said, I used to do things at 30 frames per second. Doing it at 60 might be that little thing that I need to make this look much better. Now, the other thing that I found, and this is more related to my motion capture suit, but I think it also applies to Rokoko. I don't know how this plays with Accents or with Mokopi or any of the other stuff. And that is the fact that you need to, if you're using Metahumans, I'm using Metahumans all the time. So if you're using a Metahuman, you are going to probably need to use the medium, so the average height, instead of using Metahuman tall normal weight. If you see all the assets that are in the asset store right now for Metahumans, they're usually tailored to the tall normal weight. At least most of them, not all of them, of course, but most of them are tailored to the tall normal weight Metahuman, male and female. If you use the medium, sometimes there are glitches, but you can always retarget stuff. Now, when it comes to Perception Neuron, for the longest time, I was having problems with retargeting. Every time I retarget something from Access Studio, which is Perception Neuron's software, I would have all sorts of problems and I would have to go through all kinds of cleanup. And I always wonder what in the world is going on. I mean, the reason why it didn't dawn on me before is because Metahumans pretty much share the same skeleton across the board. So whether you do tall normal weight, tall big weight, or skinny, or female, or male, they all have the same skeleton. But apparently when it comes to my motion capture to the Perception Neuron, you have to use the average height. And I haven't tested with the weights. I don't think whether you choose skinny, normal, or big would make any changes. But when it comes to height, it does make a big change. Because if I use height, my Metahuman looks insane for some reason that I never understand. And I have to use a different type of retargeting from the ones that they have listed on the website. And that leads to all kinds of jankiness. Now that I've figured that I should be using medium, like the average height, that takes care of a lot of things. And now when it comes to Rokoko, which is the other system that I've tried, I've looked at several tutorials that are on their site, and they, for the most part, seem to be using a average height metahuman. They never use the tall or the short. So if you're having problems with the Rokoko system, I haven't tried the suits. I only have their smart gloves, which again, make sure you subscribe because I'm going to try that thing again. If you have the smart suit and things are looking a little bit janky for you, maybe try to do the live link from Rokoko with an average height metahuman. Maybe that would take care of things like it took care for me while I was doing this with Perception Neuron. Now, one thing that's really important and something that I always tell people when I work with clients or even some friends that I've gotten lately into motion capture is there isn't a perfect motion capture solution. Optical is as close as perfect as you're ever going to get, but there's still some cleanup to be done. Like what I'm doing right now, this is pretty much raw data. I just clean a couple bits here and there, nothing major. But when it comes to something like the short film that I'm making, the reason why it takes so long, even though the thing is probably like 10 minutes, at least last time I checked it was like 11 minutes or so. But the reason why it's taking me so long is because I need to record, make sure everything is fine, and then I need to start doing cleanup. Now I'm using Cascadeur, which does help a lot with making things a little bit, look a little bit better. But then I need to kind of like do a final pass with like fine tune with Control Rig. Control Rig has been a blessing. The best thing that I've seen in Unreal Engine has been Control Rig. All right, everybody. If you have any questions about motion capture, please leave them down below. I'm also going to be doing a lot more videos about motion capture setup. I have one video in mind that is going to be going through all the motion capture setups that I've researched and the ones that I've tried and the ones that I would recommend. You probably know what it's going to be, but that's going to be a more in-depth tutorial on all the motion capture systems that I've tested, being the AI ones, which is mostly video, which I think are the more affordables, then going through the suit, and then the optical, which I haven't personally used, but I've read a lot and seen a lot about it and know a lot of people that have used it. So please make sure you subscribe, stay tuned, hit that like, leave a comment. It helps a lot now that the channel is so small and we're growing back again. And I'll see you in the next one.